Hey everyone, this is Chris and you're watching Wasteland by Wednesday, and today we are going to talk about my personal bug out bag, the Collapse Prep bug out bag. Different than normal. We'll discuss the philosophy and ideas behind it and the reasoning that led me to create it the way that I have. And welcome to the Wasteland, guys. So I'm actually out here training with my bag today, something every prepper should really be doing more of. It's not small or large as bug out bags go, but it is definitely suited to me and my plan for my environment and my capabilities. We're talking about 24.1 pounds, and that's just under the 15% body weight ideal for an endurance pack. So this is my bag. Let's get into it and talk about the reasoning behind it. Okay, so there are a couple of very specific principles for designing a bug out bag like this, and the number one is the purpose. I see a lot of bags that have everything but the kitchen sink all jammed together with no obvious direction, and maybe that's okay for general purpose bags, but for a real world SHTF application, you want to tailor your bag to your unique purpose. For me, that purpose is to reach my bug out location as quickly as possible. Okay, I'm not going to be out camping or setting up cook stoves and tents, hunting wild game, or building extravagant bushcraft shelters. I am trying to get somewhere fast, and so all I am trying to accomplish with this bag is covering ground to reach my bug out location. Now, in doing that, I won't be taking direct routes or leaving visible signs of my passing, like campfires and such. And I'll be using strategic avoidance techniques as my guiding principle for travel. So we want to keep that travel as undetectable as possible. We'll go over those concepts in more detail later, different video. But for now, we can just say that I'm trying to cover ground while attracting as little attention as possible. And that is what this bag is designed for. For a collapse prepper, that's really what the bug out bag is for. It's to get you to the place where all of your pre-positioned preps are and ready to ride out the shit-hitting portion of collapse. The number two principle to think about is staying as light and as comfortable as possible to make everything go a little easier. This goes along with our purpose. Remember, we're not planning on living out of this bag, definitely not living out of it forever in some lone wolf, mountain man, magic prepper fantasy, okay? We are collapse preppers, and therefore we have a plan. We will be heading to some isolated, fortified, and well-stocked location somewhere that has been designed to sustain us indefinitely without living in the wild, bushcrafting our way across the new wasteland frontier. Now, when I bug out, I'm planning to go through a short period of high intensity operation to get away from the danger of whatever happened, and then I'm going to settle in and listen to the rest of the world burn via radio while snacking on 10 years of supply and playing board games with the friends and family community that share a place together in our little post-collapse compound. But first, I have to get there safely and without being followed, and that is the singular use of my bug out bag. So, with those principles in mind, what factors do we have to consider? Well, first is water. Without it, we die. So make sure to have water resources needed for your journey or know where to get it on the go. Next is food. You want to have some food on you, and I really mean the bare minimum for sustaining yourself for the distance that you have to travel. No luxuries. Another one is shelter. a very light shelter system, if any real shelter at all. Depending on your environment, whatever it is that you need to maintain shelter in that environment. Fire, have something to start a fire if you absolutely have to for survival. Tools, have the things that you need to get across the terrain you have to traverse on your way out of Dodge. Medical, with this one, I tend to go a bit heavy on it because who knows what will happen during the evacuation from an urban SHTF situation. And finally, last but not least, we have security and defense. That kind of speaks for itself. Much of it is covered as part of your everyday carry already. All right, so you take these factors into account along with your own levels of skill and fitness. I know exactly how long and how far I can go with minimal water and food. I know the land I'll be traversing and what the weather will be like in any given season. I know how much ground I can cover and in which ways I can travel to reach my destination. I know these things because I have gone out and done it multiple times. In fact, part of my long-term planning is making this trek once a year or so during different seasons and different conditions. Actually going out and doing it is the best way to learn what you can and cannot do, what can be done, and how to plan for it. Many of the items that people stuff in these bags are unnecessary comfort items, and that's a mistake because, as they say, when rucking across the wilderness, pounds equal pain. This whole thing is about being prepared in advance for what is going to happen, and the biggest part of that is getting fit as possible beforehand. A relatively fit person can survive much longer in hostile conditions and with less sustenance than an unfit person. Now, I'm not saying you need to be like Chuck Norris in his prime, okay? I mean, look at me. I'm pushing 50 and carrying a bit more weight than I'd like. I'm definitely not going to be running and gunning like I was in my 20s and 30s. So while you aren't Chuck Norris, that doesn't mean that you want to end up as one of those preppers with all the plus-size tactical gear, looking like one of the U.S. Gravy SEALs of MEAL Team 6, okay? Get fit, get good, and get ready. Thus endeth the sermon. One more consideration is that your bag should be a bit gray man in appearance. Now, this one is tactical in use, but it doesn't make me look like some grunt about to deploy for a long-range recon patrol behind enemy lines. It's not covered in tactical molly-webbing and all that. The rule is that you want to be tactical without looking tactical, okay? So, with all that out of the way, let's take a look at what we got, starting with the bag itself and some of the stuff outside the bag. That means two things, EDC and clothing. Now, my EDC is with me every day, hence the name. So a quick look is basically my secondary. We have a tactical folder that I've been carrying for years, Phoenix Light with rechargeable batteries, ASP baton, and of course, my Leatherman Wave. We'll get into more of these at some other time, but there they are. EDC will be another video. So for clothing, I may not be in suitable clothing when the boom comes down, so to speak. So one part of the bug out bag that's not really shown here is an external grab sack that contains basically what you see me wearing now and a couple little odds and ends. Again, looking to utilize the tactical idea of blending into my environment, but with everyday clothes and earth tones rather than BDU and camo. Durable, heavy-duty, and functional clothing for the environment that I'm in. Whatever you normally use for your regular outdoor excursions is probably good enough. Depending on the time of year, some of the stuff I have may get left behind, and that is what it is. So, I mean, we have our good broken-in boots. We have specialized Cull hiking pants, a good overshirt, t-shirt. I wear boxer briefs so that it doesn't chafe anything, and of course, long wool hiking socks. And really that about covers what I have, at least for the summertime for certain. Now, when we get into this, I am going to run through a lot of this stuff pretty quick, but I will be linking a list of all the items that I carry down in the description below. No matter what I have to say about it right now, the description online will be much better than anything that I can tell you here. Suffice it to say that the important thing is that I've used all this stuff extensively, and I recommend it all based on that experience. Down the road a while, once the channel is a little more established, I'll probably make videos to review some items and whatnot. But for now, let's just get through this as a general list. One of the things, so I do want to talk about the bag a little bit. This is the REI Trail 40 bag. It's a 40-liter pack. Very nice waist belt. It's a very, very comfortable pack, especially for the weight. There's still a little bit of room in here, but I really love this pack. You've got extra sized side pockets, a little bit of attachments. You got pretty much everything you need. This pack is fantastic. I've been using different variations. I actually just bought this one and just about everything in it so that I have new gear to showcase during this video. So without further ado, let's get into it and see what we got. For water, okay, I have a couple things. One of the main ones is this Grail GeoPress. This is the 24-ounce one, and it filters out just about everything. You can make a quick stop at a water source, fill it up, you know, press it down once you open it, of course, and boom, you'll be on the move in no time at all. Something else for water I have is a pretty standard 32-ounce single-walled uninsulated stainless steel water bottle, and this will also allow me to boil water later over a campfire should I need to purify some extra. In here I also carry an assortment of different electrolyte drinks, these Flash IV Body Armor ones. Remember, we're not looking for the low-calorie stuff. We don't have to. We're going to be on the move. Something else I like is these VitaCup hydration coffees. Now, this is caffeinated coffee that has been electrolyte infused. I love this stuff. You can never have too much caffeine when you're out humping across the wasteland. All right. So that takes care of some of our items on the outside. Also out here, we have a pretty standard cotton schmog. These are great. You can wrap it around your neck, use it to cover you, keep the sun off. You can use it to pre-filter water, get the sediment out. It's always fantastic to have one of these. It has a large variety of uses. Something else I carry on the outside here is a pretty standard poncho. Now, granted, I'm in the desert. I don't really have to worry about rain too much, but if it does rain, I have it. And more importantly, this is a part of my shelter and sleep system that I will be using to basically rig up a shade from all this fancy sun wherever I happen to end up. So that pretty much covers the outside except for in these side pockets. Now, one of the things I do carry, remember, we're going to be bugging out from an urban environment. And on the way, you may want to be filling up your water and things like that. So I do carry a standard Silcock key for that purpose. Very useful, very necessary to have. I also have a neck gaiter and a little head bandana thing. One other thing that I always make sure to carry is a good pair of work gloves. These are just standard mechanics gloves, but if you're out here beating around in the desert with all this cactus and everything else, you're going to want a good pair of gloves, okay? Last but not least, on the outside, I do keep one of these. This is basically a cinch pack. It's a backpack, a small one, because in the initial bugging out process of leaving the urban environment, there may be other supplies that you come across in your haste to get the hell out of there. And it's nice to have a bag to throw some more stuff in, whether it's water, food, or whatever you come across. It's absolutely hot as balls out here. Stay hydrated, people. Okay, so getting into the pack itself, one of the nice features that I like is that you can unzip these from the bottom, sides, open up, or you can clamshell the entire thing open. Now, first I'm going to start with this little pack that I have on top. One of the items up here, we have a Petzl headlamp. Now, this is definitely a necessity because I tend to do some traveling at night quite a bit. It's rechargeable and most importantly has some very low light modes as well as red, green, and blue lights to keep you from destroying night vision, but absolute must. This is one of those survival ponchos that I carry really just to carry it. It does have a variety of other uses. I'm not likely to need it out here for temperature regulation because it's hot as balls. One other thing that I carry is just a small road flare, and usually this will probably be something that I would use in the course of the initial bug out as a distraction device, smoke, whatever. Who knows what you might have to get yourself out of on your way out of the city. And I carry one of these just in case, because strike a flare and throw it in something, who knows what you might get. But either way, it's a good distraction. Also up here, I carry this small little optic scope. It's kind of a piece of crap, but it's good enough for basic needs. I'm going across terrain and land that I already know really well anyway, but this would be to focus in on anything I see in the distance that might not be familiar to me. Especially if it happens to be a dust cloud on my trail. We don't like those. That basically covers the front little section there. Open up the main part of the pack now, and I can get to showing you what we carry in here. Now, it does have another little front section in front here. What I have here is this is actually, you can't really see it right now, but it's a really powerful small flashlight. Also fully rechargeable USB-C. This, along with my Phoenix flashlight in my everyday carry, takes the CR123 batteries, and I actually have ones that are independently rechargeable. Each battery has its own little USB-C port on it so that you can charge the battery directly off of something else. This is just a small dry sack that I keep. You can use it to fill up water. You can do quite a bit with it. Use it to put things in it you want to maintain waterproofness, whatever, so on and so forth. Something else I have up here also goes along with water. Now, this is a 1 liter hydro flask, which can be filled up with water. And then I also have the Life Straw Peak Series water filter. Can actually screw on to the top of basically any standard water bottle, including this one, so you can fill up this thing with your your dirty water, and then you can open it and drink right out of the bottle. Something else up here that I have is a mosquito net, head net, which I probably could use right about now for some of these big ass flies around here, but definitely good to have, especially when on the move like this, in a bug out situation, we're not going to be stopping to build extravagant shelters. I'm probably going to be sleeping in my clothing with my head pillowed on this. So it will be nice to at least keep the bugs off my face. Last but not least in here is just a small little container. Basically in here, all I have is I have my passport card. I have a debit card that is preloaded with an account all of its own, just for that. And I have $400 in cash, from hundreds down to fives, because you just don't know. In the early stages of bugging out, depending on what's going on, things might still be looking somewhat okay, at least to the majority of people. And while I know that it's the end, they might not. And so you want to have a little something to barter with, possibly. Also, something to mention is that this tiny little compass, this is the Suntoe Clipper. It's very, very accurate for such a tiny little button compass. And it's just an extra little one that I carry in here just in case something happens to my mane. Now, this is my trauma kit, first aid kit, and we're not going to go too much into detail on that here. This is a video in itself. But basically, it's got everything that you would think should be in there. We have Cat 7 tourniquet, compression gauze, gauze for stuffing, quick clot, blood stop stuff, nasopharyngeal airway, whatever it is, the thing you stick down your nose so you can bypass for a choking victim. I also carry a variety of different gauze pads and other things in here, but we'll discuss the trauma kit at a later date. This is basically bear spray. Actually, not basically bear spray, that's exactly what it is. And this is fantastic for use against bears, but that's not why I have it. There's no bears out here to worry about. What I am worried about is humans, people. Those are going to be the greatest danger in the initial period of collapse. Now, trying to get out of an urban area, who knows what kind of riots are going to start or whatever else. And nothing says get the hell out of my way like a giant cloud of bear spray. So this will most likely either be used up and discarded on my way out of the city or discarded later, because I don't have much use for it out here. Roll of duct tape. This is the Gorilla Tape. This has so many uses I couldn't possibly detail them all here, from wound dressing and fire starting and just about everything else, but you might as well have a roll of this in your kit. This is a small tool kit that has a variety of things. I do have another little tiny flashlight in here. Leatherman dime, collapsible scissors, knife sharpener, razor blade, extra razors. I have a small band saws that are actually usually pieces of garbage, but if you know how to use it, you can get some use out of it. Variety of small other tools. Nothing we got to go into too much detail here, just a few things that you may need on your way out of the city. What I have here is basically a small hygiene kit. Now, hygiene is not going to be my main concern. It's probably going to be one of my least concerns. And half of this stuff may get tossed out along the way, but really what we have in here is I have I have a little bit of lotion. I have some of those hand soap tabs that you can pull out, little sheets, hand soap sheets. A couple packs of sanitizing wipes, which are also known as toilet paper. Got some eye drops, some dental floss, some lip balm, some Vaseline, and a little thing of grunt candy, which they also call ibuprofen in the civilian world. Okay, now, right now I do want to talk about food a little bit. When it comes to food, look, I'm trying to stay light and cover ground, okay? I'm probably going to stick between 1,000 and 1,500 calories per day, if that. And I'm not really trying to make a fire unless I absolutely have to. So there's no stopping to cook hot meals and all that. I have some ration bars, peanut butter, snack bars, whatever I can eat on the go. We're bugging out here, okay? Remember, we're not camping. Now, I am going to do a special video about ration bars, weight gainer, and other supplements later, but for now, this is what it is. Okay, first off, I have a couple of these. These are emergency food ration bars. They say they are apple cinnamon flavored, but they're actually shit flavored. Either way, each one of these is 2,400 calories, very high in carbs, but that's exactly what you want, carbs and fat. So we have 2 of those. That's 4,800 calories right there. I also have a small bag. Inside here, I carry a variety of things. I've got everything from these peanut butter and almond butter packets, these caffeinated chocolate banana chip energy bars. Very good there. Stinger energy waffles, those Stroop waffles. Have a couple of the whey protein packets from Sprouts. Even got a couple of albacore tunas in here, some good protein. A pack of some sausages, whatnot. Either way, this little pack right here is another 3,000 calories of stuff that I can eat on the go without having to cook, without having to stop for very long. Something else that we don't want to be doing much of. The wind is picking up a little bit out here. I hope it's not destroying the audio, and I apologize for it if it is. Anyway, that's basically the food that we carry in the bag. You can mix it up however you want, but don't go with that whole, some of these guys go with strict protein and everything else. What you're going to want is carbs, okay? Carbs, simple carbs, complex carbs, sugars. You're not strength training out here. You're going to be relying on your endurance, and for that you need energy, and carbs are energy. So don't worry about gaining any weight. I promise, if you have to bug out, that's going to be the least of your problems. Okay, another item that we have here is a small emergency radio. We've got solar power on top. That's going to take pretty much forever to actually charge with. It does have flashlights. It has lantern light here. It can also be charged via hand crank, very slowly, very boringly. It also takes batteries, and it has an internal, I believe, 15,000 milliamp hour battery capacity. This is for AM, FM, weather radio, and shortwave. You want to have one that covers all 4 of those. And this is basically just to keep track of what's going on in the world, on your way out. It's a good idea. I do have a pair of headphones in here also that I can plug in so that I can listen to the end of the world on my way out of it. Okay, going along with our limited food stuff, this is basically the extent of my mess kit. Okay, and what we have in here is primarily we have these 2, we have a bowl, cup, these silicone things. This is the Summit X Set 2. I also have one of those little deals for making a tripod and hanging over a campfire so that we can actually boil water or whatever else. Now, along with that, comes this little doohickey, which goes with our stainless steel water bottle. Over the fire she goes. Okay, that's if we absolutely have to have a fire and absolutely need to boil water, which I do not expect having to do, but you never know. Also in here is a small P38 can opener, because why not? And if you don't know what a P38 can opener is, then this is not the video for you. And finally, last but not least, I have this small eating tool, fork, spoon, something masquerading as a knife, but that's basically it. And I can use that for probably not much. Okay, this little packet is basically, I just have one of those right in the rain pads. I have a one of these space pens, the Trekker, pretty much writes everywhere, including space, so I shouldn't have a problem with it out here. And then I have my Sunto M3 compass. I love the Sunto brand, and they've never done me wrong, but I'll be using that in concert with maps. To navigate, if I actually need to navigate anywhere, because like I said, I pretty much already know my entire area of operations out here. When it comes to maps, I do recommend having good waterproof maps of the area that you're in. Now, I did pick these up a little while ago just to keep in there, but most of my maps are contained in my brain and on 2 different phones. But waterproof maps, must have. Speaking of phones, okay, now this is one of those ruggedized phones, and this thing is specifically loaded for bug out. That's the only purpose of this phone. It stays charged, it stays updated, and otherwise it stays in a double Faraday bag. This outer one I actually made myself to protect it in the case of EMP. Now that's probably a little bit overkill, because if I'm anywhere close enough to an EMP, it's probably not good. Either way, this thing, it's a Ulefone. It has thermal imaging and all that. It's like a 15,000 milliamp hour battery bank. And between the main thing and the SD card, I've got almost 3/4 of a terabyte of storage in here, loaded with PDFs on everything from wilderness medicine to survival stuff, topographic maps of the entire western half of the United States, broken down to tiny little areas, and a lot of information specific to me. But anyway, this is a very important thing to have. Talking about power, okay, I have the Goal Zero Venture 70. This one's actually a little bit older. It's a 20,000 milliamp hour battery. It comes with a couple extra cables on the sides. It actually has a little built-in flashlight. And this is what I'll be using to charge all my other batteries and all my other devices. To charge that, what we have here is I have a small 8-watt solar panel. Now, a lot of people talk about these small panels and they're like, oh, you know, they're kind of crap. They don't work all that well. Okay, this is the Mojave Desert, all right? 8 watts is plenty, and you're gonna get plenty of sunlight all the goddamn time. You can strap this to the back of your pack while you're walking and collect juice along the way as you go, but I highly recommend having at least something small. And of course, if you do end up stopping somewhere for a little while in the daytime to take a break, break this out, lay it out, angle it properly, and catch a little bit of charge. This is just a couple of, this is USB-C and micro USB to handle any charging needs that I might have. All right, what we have here is my fire kit. Now, this is not very big or special, but really, the main piece, of course, is a standard Bic lighter in a waterproof case. We have a 6-inch by 1/2-inch ferro rod. This is going to cover it for quite a long time. You're going to get 20, 30,000 strikes out of this, and if you can't start a fire in the desert with a spark, then again, this is not the video for you. We do have a little thing of these waterproof storm matches, just in case. Magnesium bar with another ferro rod on it for starting fire, and a few packs of these wet fire tinder things. I think there's like 5 of them in here. But either way, that is the fire kit. Okay, down here in the bottom of the bag, we're going to start with what we have for a limited sleep system. I do have a small, regular old jungle bivvy. I also have this Sea to Summit reactor liner, just in case it was to get cold, for about as cold as it's going to get here in the desert. Between the clothes that I'm wearing, this and the bivvy, that's going to handle anything I'm going to have to worry about out here. I also have one of these. It's a small, I believe it's 4x6, a little tarp ground blanket thing, whatnot. Now remember, the main tarp, of course, is going to be the rain poncho that I have. That will be my main shelter cover if I do need it. Highly doubtful. Also, hummingbird hammocks. This is a full-size hammock, and it is very tiny. Max load 300 pounds. I'm a big fan of these things. I love them, and it's great to hook up, We also have the Eagle's Nest Outfitters Helios strap system to use, and 100 feet of 550 cord. And that pretty much covers the bag. Hey guys, real quick, I wanted to go over something I forgot in the main video, which is embarrassing because it's probably one of the most important pieces of equipment in the kit, and that is a fixed blade knife. Now, I had actually taken it out of the bag and had it on my belt, so I forgot to showcase it in the main part of the video, which is why I'm cutting in here. But real quick, the Cold Steel SRK 6-inch blade, full tang design, very thick, very sharp, rubberized grip, very simple knife, and most importantly, not serrated. So, fixed blade knife, have one. Now, one final thing we also do carry is a couple Sharpies. There's another one around here somewhere that I may have lost. One other small thing I do want to mention. So this is the little bag. Most of these clothes were compressed down into this. Something else that I do carry is a spare pack of these smart wool socks. Just in case it was cold, I do have a one of these Nike thermal shirts. But again, we're not going to have much cold weather out here. Nothing that we can't deal with, all right? So that's pretty much the bag. I'm going to put all this crap back in here, and then we're going to go over a few more things. All right, guys, I do want to say one other thing about lighting, like the headlamp and such. For me, it's a necessity. In a real-world SHTF scenario, a bug out run is going to have minimal time for rest, and we're talking about catching sleep and cat naps, 2 or 3 hours max. Now, that means traveling at night as well as the day, so you're going to want light. Now, usually light is kind of a no-no, but that will just have to be a tactical decision made on a case-by-case basis as the adventure goes on. Very low light to enable continued forward progress is a good option to have. So, to wrap things up, this bag is for an emergency on-foot bug out. Now, when it comes to being prepared for the collapse of civilization, this is an absolute last resort. Worst case option. This isn't an expedition pack or a light assault pack or a bag for a long-range scout or patrol. No, this is just a bare bones pack to cover the needs of reaching a bug out destination and nothing more. So we don't have all the zoom zooms and wham whams we might have in an expedition bag. You have to think about a bug out bag such as this as, like I said, a final option. Bugging out on foot with a backpack should never be a part of your primary plan, nor should you really wait long enough for the shit to actually start hitting the fan before you get out of the threat zone. Now, ideally, your bug out plan to reach a safe haven will include a fully prepared and stocked vehicle, calm and leisurely move to a safe bug out location you've already established long before other people realize that things are about to get quite that bad. We will talk about the actual plan and process of bugging out at a later date. This video is simply to detail my own last resort bug out bag philosophy and practice. Another point to consider with this bag is that there are other factors at play for me specifically when it comes to collapse. Things that we will be discussing in detail on this channel later after we cover some of these basic concepts. Just as a short note for context, something I have done over the years is I have prepared my area of operations, or AO, and by this I'm referring to the land extending out around where I live, around my primary and backup bug out locations, and around the routes between them all. I've buried scores of survival caches and pre-positioned many tools and supplies at alternate sites, shelters, and points of interest all around my AO. This little slab and rock pile of which is one of them. Now, given that, I have quite a few extra options when it comes to resources should I find myself alone and in the wild, unable to reach my primary bug out location in time. Things change. Shit happens, and a plan rarely survives more than 30 seconds after contact anyway. I could end up having people with me that I did not intend on having, or there could be an event that renders my primary plan null and void. Who knows? You need to be prepared for everything. As a collapse prepper, you have plans, and then you have plans to back up those plans. Then you have still more plans to cover the failures of those plans, especially if there are any bad guys out there making plans specifically to screw up your plan, because there are. No matter where I end up out here in my own personal wasteland, I don't have to worry about too many things. That is what, prepping's all about. There are no guarantees, but you can stack the odds more in your favor and account for as many adverse events as possible. Do I know how to find food and water in the desert? Sure I do. But there's absolutely nowhere I could be out here where I couldn't walk a day or two and retrieve some pre-positioned supplies. I don't have to find food in the desert because I already know where I left it. This bag is really just intended to get me there, wherever there ends up being when the shit hits the fan. All right, my friends, stay safe, stay ready, and welcome to the wasteland.